Out of the shadows comes a political vigilante. I like the darkness. Because if you can see in the dark, you can see all the time. Just came up with a catchphrase. Today I want to talk about an article in The Intercept, which was written by Tarana Bell, February 3rd. Let the leaking begin. Longtime NASA watchdog welcomes rogue agency tweeters. It's about this gentleman, Keith Cowing. And basically, the article goes into Keith Cowing worked at NASA in the 90s, and they started doing budget cuts, 10% budget cuts. And this was pushed forward by Vice President Al Gore in 1996. And they said fear is going to be a powerful tool in this. They had this like meeting of how they were going to do these budget cuts. And so he was like, this is wrong. And he started this fake or this alternative NASA account. So now he sees all of these alternative accounts that have popped up. Rogue NASA, Alt CDC, Alt HHS, all this stuff. The national parks have done this since Trump has become nominated, or not nominated, but what do they call that? President? Sworn in since the inauguration. And what was the National Parks Association that put up that photo of the Obama inauguration and the Trump inauguration showing how fewer people came to his. He said, pull that down. No good. Can't have it. So they've all been popping up. So basically this Keith Cowing gentleman is saying this is a really good thing and here's why. And he also goes into some of the things about NASA that I didn't quite know and how legally it's tough to shut it down, but he goes into some other stuff as well. The main thing he talks about, well, he started, he quit NASA and started NASA Riff Watch, which then morphed into NASAWatch.com, on Twitter as @NASAWatch. Its motto is, this is not a NASA website. You might learn something. It's your space agency. Get involved, take it back, make it work for you. So when he first started this thing in 1996, people flipped out because the internet was very new then and thought literally that he had broken into the NASA U-frame and was like, how did he get this information? And he didn't need to because people were sending him stuff. That's what's happening. And he talks about how powerful people actually, and he worked at NASA, so he's a scientist, he knows what's going on, and they're sending him stuff and he would keep his sources completely confidential. He would never, ever reveal his sources. He soon moved his server to Canada, and the message was, try and get me. In June 2000, he broke the story that NASA had found water on Mars. Science magazine credited him with an accurate, if vague, item, which it said was apparently from sources in the astrobiology community. Which is awesome. So that's what's happening. That's one way to resist. If you're afraid of losing your job, you're afraid of somebody, firing you, whatever, which I get, if you have that type of job, but you need to get information out there, figure out how you can leak it. Figure out how to, like all of these alt sites, and he goes into this article that a lot of these alt sites, the people are anonymous and probably mostly for good reason, but he's like, I don't know what their true agenda is. Is this some sort of like counter news Bannon thing? So he writes though, because he's concerned because they're hiding their motives because they don't know who's doing it. But at the same time, Cowing considers rogue Twitter accounts a science experiment to prove that the digital revolution has arrived. And I talked about this in another thing about net neutrality. They're going to try to price it out or make more money, but they would love to control the internet if they could. Rogue NASA, for instance, explains that if the time comes that NASA has been instructed to cease tweeting, sharing info about science and climate change, we will inform you. Because that's the big thing, obviously. As I've said, Trump's whole cabinet is climate change deniers, so they can't have actual science. But this is some good information in terms of how people are resisting. The kind of uncertainty is why scientists in Cowing's circle, I dropped some of the papers, that's what that noise is. Scientists in Cowing's circle have started cloning copies of their climate change research on offshore servers, afraid the Trump administration might delete them. Not surprised if they try that. Cowing noted that there has been no concerted effort yet to muzzle on a large scale people at any given agency, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. Once you've done it to one agency, you can do it to others, Cowing said. But silencing science can quickly become a matter of public safety, he said. People are going to get upset when, for example, the National Weather Service is afraid to give the same depth of reporting on storm threats because of, oh my God, if we say that, it'll sound like global warming. That's a fantastic thing that I didn't even consider. This is why I'm learning so much, because I didn't even consider that. Oh yeah. The National Weather Service can't mention those words because the Trumpers will ban them. Oh boy. But he goes into how muzzling NASA is going to be a particular challenge, because President Trump will have to convince Congress to alter the National Aeronautics and Space Act. And he explains this on his website. NASA is by law required to, quote, provide for the widest practicable and appropriate dissemination of information concerning its activities and the results thereof as one of the 5 principal functions of its existence. So, they're gonna, again, Trump thinks, and his supporters and the people think that the president is just can do whatever he wants. Like, he doesn't understand there's a constitutionally mandated 3 branches of government for this very reason, that someone can't just, a lunatic can't get in there and just change and just pass laws and everyone just has to get on board with them. It's insane. Cowing sees the government as an elephant, and I am the mouse. A mouse can move more quickly and run around in an elephant's legs. I was once one mouse. Now everybody in America is the mouse, he said. And should they so decide, as we saw on Inauguration Weekend, they can cause the entire consciousness of the country to shift. It's all based on individual actions. And this, Cowing said, is why the elephant is afraid of the mouse. Pay attention. Another place to pay attention. It's looked like it is called, Rogue NSA. Rogue NASA, not NSA. The NSA, I don't want their rogue account to be creepy. Great place to pay attention, all these rogue accounts, but follow what these rogue NASA scientists are saying and doing, because Trump is going to try to influence them. This is important because Obama, Bush, Clinton, they all tried to slightly influence. This is actually, as I've said, if we don't have a full-on civil war or World War III, Trump's blatant disregard for the law and everybody getting involved actually might be a good thing, because he's just being more overt in how awful the government has been from both parties, from all presidents, for the better part of like 4 decades, if not longer. So pay attention, stay vigilant, make Gotham great again. Like and subscribe.